How's it going, everybody? This is AfroDJMac, and I'm really excited to talk to you about some new toys I got to play with today. Phosphor 2 from Audio Damage. I'm going to use StudioMux to run that into Ableton Live and maybe play around with some audio effects as well. And some cool drums from Mode Audio called the Redox drum kits. So we'll hear those, we'll play around. And I wanted to start off by talking about how I'm going to get my iPad into my computer just using the lightning cable, and that's through an app called StudioMux, which you should be able to see right now on your screen. And it's right here, so you can load different things into our little tracks here. First thing you want to do though is put the corresponding plugin on a MIDI track inside of Live. So we're going to use the StudioMux generator because we're generating a sound. And what I've got here, I'm going into StudioMux. I'm going to go into Instruments. I'll use Audio Unit Instruments, and I'll drag Phosphor onto track 2. And here I've got my iPad selected. And I'm going to go over here and select Phosphor. And now we can hear that inside of Ableton Live. And this is the default preset of Phosphor. And now you got a little keyboard on your iPad to play with. It kind of makes the app about half the size, so it's now 2 pages instead of 1, which is the normal way it works. We got our oscillators and our modulation here. So we'll start off with just the default preset. I've got the push going that I'm using to control the Phosphor now. So we start out with 2 oscillators, a primary and a secondary, and we're just basically adding together these different sounds. Now, I'm going to just kind of clear out our little, I guess you call these like little tone generators. We can clear it with the clear button. Clear both, we'll hear nothing. So maybe what we'll start off by doing is just turning down the level of oscillator 2 and just working with oscillator 1. And we can put in our first little note. And it's very much like a sine wave. Pretty sound though, even just that one little formant going on. And you basically just start adding in these little notes. This is additive synthesis. And you can kind of draw them in. And you start to hear like the different tones that you get, and the default was something like that. And each one of these oscillators has its own envelope for amplitude. So we can have it swell in, kind of more like a pad. Our attack. Bring it down to the little pluck. Or have some nice sustain. Play around with the release time. Change that. So each one of these has their own customizable envelope. So we start out with our primary oscillator, and I want to just get that one first little note or two. And now we'll bring in our second oscillator. We'll start adding in our little nodes here. And you can hear as I add them in, we get these different tonalities. However high you make these little nodes is the volume. And this is where you get like your overtones. And of course I can then play around with this envelope and maybe make those fade in. I can make them just kind of decay out too. They come up and they go away. And we're left with our original sound. And the more you are to the left-hand side here, the more mellow your sound will be. It can be pretty fun to just sort of like drop these in and pull them out. I'm just holding down a chord. So maybe if you're recording this, you can kind of hold down some chords. Almost like real-time automation with your finger. Playing around, lots of cool sounds. There's a modulation section too, and we can play around with, maybe I should talk about this, we can play around with our pannings of each oscillator, the level, we can add noise, velocity sensitivity, so real soft playing here, so you're barely hearing our primary oscillator, or real hard, so it's loud. And we've got a cross mod, which again is going to add some nice frequencies to it. It's kind of crazy with oscillator 2. Oscillator 2 also has a pitch offset, so you can get some really nice kind of shimmering sounds like that. And that actually sounds really nice. So what I can do is go in here and save my preset. And we'll just call it user preset 1. Got my own little sound so we can hear some of the other sounds real quick. You know, before we do that, let's just go into the modulation section. And we've got 2 LFOs, and we can see where they're going. If you go left to right, mod to primary oscillator, mod to secondary oscillator. Start with LFO 1. Got our rate here, so let's maybe put that to our panning. We've also got a sync to go along with our host tempo, which through StudioMux I can use as Ableton link, and I've got my link enabled inside Live. So these will all be nice and synced LFOs. Yeah, this nice panning going on. That's just in my first oscillator. Also do that in our second oscillator. So they're kind of going back and forth a little bit. So I'm making LFO2 play around with the noise volume. Just a little bit of noise movement in there. Really pretty sound. You can get some really cool sounds. Again, I'm going to just go in here and save this again. I really like this sound. We'll just call it 1 again. I like those modulations. Save. And there it is, so I can have it. And if you like to hear, I'll just let you hear a couple of the presets. We got the digi-bass. Very 80s sound based on the synth this thing is modeled after. Righteous stub. Some crazy effects. Stutter pad was kind of cool. And some of them are just craziness. So you can see you can get some really crazy sounds pretty easily. The key sounds really cool. We'll go to living in the 80s. One of my favorites is probably the smooth triangle. Just really cool sound, nice modulation on it. Fun leads. So lots of cool sounds, great pads also. Go to additive. If you're looking for sort of 80s sound FM type deal. It's not exactly FM, but very similar sounding to FM if you ask me. This is a really cool app for that. So, thought maybe we'll just try to make a quick track real fast, just see what happens. And this is totally unplanned. And I'm going to use these drums from Mode Audio's new Drum Redux pack. This is just one of the kits. Just going to make a pretty straightforward beat here. Nice straight hi-hats. Nice and easy. So we'll go back into our StudioMux track. Okay, so I'm back into my Phosphor. I'm going to start the beat in a second, and I'm using my user preset that I just created. And let's hit play here. And I'll hit record. These nice long chords let you hear the modulation, which I like. And I'm going to quantize that because I know I kind of messed up that second chord pretty bad. Clean that up a little. So we got a little piece here. What I'll do is I'll duplicate this track and I'll delete that MIDI there. And I'm going to go back into my StudioMux here, and I'm going to drag another instance of Phosphor onto track 3, that is. And open that up here, and let's see what we get. So now I can, this gives me my first instance of Phosphor. And I got another instance. So this is just the default. Well, let's see if we can find something else here. Maybe we'll go to the bass now. And I like this digi sub bass. Maybe I'll put on note repeat on the push and just see what we get. Go an octave low. I'm gonna take out note repeat. Just play freehand. Subtle, doing just like 50%. Sounds like it tightened it up a little, and I'll just lower the volume on this track a little bit. And let's do it again. I'm going to duplicate this track, and I'm going to go back into StudioMux, and I'm going to throw in one more instance of Phosphor. And we're going to have to go in here and change which Phosphor we're taking. We got this guy right here. And now, let's pick another preset. Let's hear what Hairy Sauce sounds like. I'm feeling that. Try Paranoia. I like that. I just want a little more release time. That's a little bit too much. Still too much. Cool. Maybe we'll put a little more delay on that. Now, one thing this app doesn't have is a filter, which is kind of almost weird, right, on a synthesizer? But we can fix that. We're going to go into AudioMux, again, StudioMux, excuse me. We're going to go back to our effects. We'll pick Audio Unit Effects. And I'm going to use another audio damage effect, and that's Fuzz Plus, because Fuzz Plus has a nice little filter on it. So I'm going to this time select StudioMux Effect. And now we just lost everything. But we're going to pick Fuzz Plus. And you can hear that's way too loud. Bring down the level. I'm going to bring back the distortion a little. And if you got a filter, I wanted to mellow this out a little bit. Pull that down a little bit. There we have it. So we can put together these effects nicely. Again, with StudioMux, which is one of the coolest apps because it just lets you put everything right inside your DAW. Works really nice. Fuzz Plus, I believe, is a free one, so that's worth checking out. Let's try this feedback a little bit. Cool. So, there you have it, some really cool apps, Phosphor, as well as Fuzz Plus 3. We got these really cool drums from Mode Audio, their Redox kit. I think it's definitely worth checking out. I'm having some fun with them. Nice crunchy sounding drums. In fact, let's have a little bit of fun. Let's put an iPad effect on these drums. So I just lost them, right? So we're gonna have to go in here and pick an effect. And let's do Rough Rider. This is another audio damage effect, and it's a compressor. And we're gonna select Rough Rider. Whoops, right there. Get some gain reduction there. It has moved my drums all the way to the left side, which I'm kind of not sure why I did that. I have a fix for that though. It's called the utility device inside Alive. We'll just drop it in here and we'll make everything mono. And now let's go play around with our compressor here. A little less attack so we can really hear the punch of those drums. A little bit of gain reduction, and we'll pick it up here. Some nice thud in those drums now. Turn this off. Much mellower. Rough Rider on. And I like that a lot. Everything's kind of sitting nice and tight. So, hope you enjoyed this. It's been a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying these apps. Loving what Audio Damage is doing lately. It's putting out some really cool apps. And making the iPad a lot of fun. Also, StudioMux is really great for just bringing all the stuff inside your DAW. So I hope you find that useful, and I hope you have some fun. Go make some music and have a great day. Take care.